If you enjoy the content on this channel, please like and subscribe. Some fun trivia notes. Unlike most TV shows or movies, when characters in the show eat, the prop food is real. Their prop master previously aspired to be a chef and lovingly cooks every meal that you see on screen. Most of the time, Leonard, played by John Galecki, has no lenses in his glasses. When Sheldon, Jim Parsons plays the theremin, which is widely regarded as one of the hardest instruments to play, that is actually Jim Parsons playing it. Jim Parsons' audition for the role of Dr. Sheldon Cooper was so good that creator Chuck Lorre immediately asked him to come back for a second one, because Lorre wanted to be 100% sure Parsons was as brilliant as he seemed. After the second audition went perfectly, Lorre cast him on the spot. Bob Newhart agreed to appear on the show on one condition: they could have a recurring role. Kaley Cuoco missed filming 2 episodes of season 4 in 2010 as a result of breaking her leg, which was due to a horseback riding incident, which she came out of the saddle landing on the ground, where a horse then stepped on her leg, and in doing so caused quite a bit of damage, where at first emergency doctors felt amputation of the foot might be required. Afterwards, in her first appearance following the accident, she was filmed only from the waist up, standing behind the bar counter, acting as a bartender rather than her usual waitress position. In the fall of 2010, Kaley Cuoco revealed to CBS's Watch magazine behind the scenes that she and her co-star and love interest, Johnny Galecki, had secretly dated for 2 years early in the run of the show, but they were no longer together at that point. 3 Star Wars actors made guest appearances in the show: James Earl Jones, Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill. The episode with Jones and Fisher was the first time the two had actually met each other in real life. On January 3, 2013, a team of Brazilian biologists announced their name for the newly discovered species of orchid bee, Euglossa bazinga. This was to honour the show and specifically Sheldon's mocking catchphrase, bazinga. Sheldon's soothing song, Soft Kitty, is based on the Australian children's song from executive producer Bill Prady's daughter's preschool. The song has been featured on Australian children's television show Play School. In tribute to Carol Ann Susie, who played Howard's mum, who recently passed, a small picture of her was seen on the side of Sheldon and Leonard's fridge. It was a small square that can be seen in episodes after her death. The picture is so small that it cannot be recognised. However, in the behind-the-scenes DVD feature, it is mentioned that it is her. Macaulay Culkin was asked to play the role of Leonard, but turned it down. Floors 2, 3 and 4 of Sheldon and Leonard's apartment building are the same set, just redressed for each scene. This can be seen in the fact that the scuff marks on the moulding are identical on each level as they walk up the stairs. Bernadette did not originally have such a high-pitched voice. When she first appeared, she had a rather normal-pitched voice. And as her character began to take shape, she adopted the quirky high-pitched voice, which Melissa Rauch says is based off her mother's voice, without the jersey. The theme song uses the line "Autotrophs began to drool." This is a science joke. The word autotroph means self-nourishing and refers to life forms, plants and algae that create their own food internally and don't need to eat. Melissa Rauch was collecting unemployment benefits and was scheduled to attend a seminar on how to get a job when she was invited to audition for the part of Bernadette. When Chuck Lorre first pitched the show to studios, he intended it to be an adult version of a show as seen today, in the hopes of attracting as many male viewers as possible. He wrote the show with an all-female cast. The female characters associated with the main characters reflect the original characters' personas. The broken elevator served as a very practical purpose on the show. Since the characters have to walk up 3 flights of stairs, it gives them plenty of time to talk to each other while doing something active. It also provides a change of scenery so that the audience isn't always looking at Sheldon's or Penny's apartment. While having a lunch at the university canteen or other eating scenes, characters don't actually eat most of the time. Howard only pretends to eat by moving his mouth like he's chewing it. Sheldon and Leonard just play with their food with a fork, and Amy and Penny are sometimes shown eating the food. They only talk most of the time. In the show, Penny's surname is never revealed. Eventually in the season 9 premiere, she takes on the name of Hofstadter after she marries Leonard. Chuck Lorre later stated in an interview her name was Barrington. Both of Melissa Rauch's real-life pregnancies were written into the show. Sadly, her first ended in a miscarriage, then she got pregnant again not long after, which explains why Bernadette got pregnant again so soon after having Haley. Carol Ann Susie, who played Howard's unseen mother, died from cancer on November 11, 2014. Her character was subsequently written out of the show. Due to the decision to cancel the show, the second half of season 12 had to be rewritten in order to wrap up the series. Penny's pregnancy and the Nobel Prize storyline were added after the cancellation. In the season 1 episode, Raj is seen standing in front of Sheldon's whiteboard, which has an equation for asymmetry on it. Asymmetry was the idea that won Sheldon and Amy the Nobel Prize in the last ever episode of the series. Leonard makes 2 predictions in the pilot episode that comes true. He states that one of them will win a Nobel Prize one day, and that he and Penny's children will be both smart and beautiful. In the series finale, Sheldon and Amy are awarded a Nobel Prize, and it's revealed that Leonard and Penny are expecting their first child. Now it's rather funny, as this is one of those shows I never really wanted to watch. I just found it sort of overhyped, and everybody would wax lyrical about it and go on about how fantastic it was. It was just one of those shows I just sort of wanted to steer clear from. Eventually though, I sat down and started watching The Big Bang Theory, and I'm happy to say I mostly enjoyed it. Over its 12-season run, there are some fantastic moments, and I could identify with most of the sort of nerdy topics per se that the characters would take part in. Look, all 5 of the main original leads are absolutely excellent in their roles, and of course the addition later on of Amy and Bernadette, well, just added another layer to the show. I think one thing that made this show work so well was the cast had incredible chemistry with each other. One of the main themes throughout the series was of course Leonard and Penny's relationship. The will they won't they dynamic really worked so well, and of course it helped that the 2 actors playing these roles were actually dating in real life. Later on, of course, the show did lose some of its luster after the 2 got married, and they lost some of their spark, I found, in latter seasons. Also, I was never over the moon with the idea of Sheldon getting married. Don't get me wrong, I like the addition of the Amy character, but the 2 of them actually getting married and working out things together never really flied for me. Whereas, of course, the relationship here between Howard and Bernadette was just perfect, and the 2 really added to each other's characters. I always sort of felt somewhat sorry for the character of Raj, and he always seemed to be the butt of the joke at the expense of the other characters, with some slightly racist tendencies thrown his way. As I said though, it is fundamentally the chemistry between the actors that really made this show work so well. You could see they all had become friendly with each other, and the 4 main friends really looked like they were good friends in real life. Sheldon and Leonard just had this uncompromising brotherly rapport with each other, as did Raj and Howard. Look, I'd have to say Simon Helberg as Howard is arguably my favourite character within the whole show. I just loved his portrayal, and he's an incredibly talented comedian, is Simon Helberg. And what too can I say now about the fantastic Jim Parsons as Sheldon? Of course he's the star of the show. There were times, of course, that Sheldon could really annoy me, and I just found him absolutely awful, but then again that was the point. He was eccentric, strange, and of course hyper-intelligent. And Jim Parsons brings this to life with absolute perfection. In fact, so good, you could not imagine anybody else making this role their own like he did. There were so many little funny tropes throughout the show. Howard's mother always being heard off screen, the apartment building elevator never working, the wonderful references to science, and of course comic book culture, which I so thoroughly enjoyed. Look, the idea of doing a comedy show in front of a live audience may be a dated concept, and of course The Big Bang Theory was the last ever sitcom to do this. But in the same breath though, I can see why so many people fell in love with The Big Bang Theory. I too was quite sad to say goodbye to these characters after its 12-season run. It was one of those shows I'd put on nightly and just watch easily, as it's 20 minutes, undemanding, and would always provide me with some good laughs. Yes, of course there were some schmaltzy moments, some moments you'd say, oh, did they really need to do that? But nonetheless, overall the show really held its own as one of the better, stronger sitcoms ever made. It was clever, it was original, it was vibrant, and it was hilarious at times, poignant at other times, and probably came to an end at the right time, with Jim Parsons saying that he'd done enough as this character and that he couldn't continue the role. From its wonderful opening theme to the fantastic cast, some fantastic dialogue, and wonderful easy storylines that always kept you invested. Albeit that the last few seasons maybe felt a bit long in the tooth, overall I would say The Big Bang Theory really did maintain its standard. And I can see why it will go down as one of the most famous sitcoms of all time. The Big Bang Theory gets a 9 out of 10.